What's up, Jack? It's Steven here from Powell's Power Ups. This is your overview video of your SP Saber's Darkness V3. I have finished the installation. So sit down, get comfortable, make sure you watch this entire video before you get your lightsaber. That way you know how to properly handle it, how to take care of it, what to do and what not to do. I'm going to go over everything with you. So we'll start with a little bit of an unboxing. So this is the box you sent me. As soon as you open it, you'll see some paperwork on top. This is some of the original shipping paperwork that you sent me, so I just wanted to kind of return that. I just kept it for records. Then the other piece of paperwork is some pretty important documentation. The first part up here talks about the configuration on your lightsaber, basically how the fonts are set up. You have multiple Kylo Ren fonts, all from different movies with different types of ignition, timings, and hums, and background tracks, and different quotes and things like that. You have a set from Kyberphonic down here, and you have a set from K-Sith. So refer to this whenever you're, trying to figure out what font that you are on. I have here the quotes, show me again the power of the darkness. So like as you're cycling through fonts, when you hear that, you'll know you're on font number 1. The rest of the paperwork is pretty important. Sorry, my mouth, I'm going dry. I don't know what happened there. I just ate some oatmeal, so I think it came back up. The rest of the the rest of the paperwork are the operating instructions for your 2-button controls. There are several pages because, with your Profi board version 2.2 and your operating system 6.7, there are tons of things that this lightsaber can do. Lots of functionality. So as you go through all these instructions, pay special attention to not only the buttons and what they do, but also the orientation of the saber matters as well. For example here, next font, right? Hold auxiliary and click power, but it says do this when it's parallel or up because it does something else if it's down. It goes to the previous font. So that's something to keep in mind. Take your time as you go through these instructions. Go slow, and there's a learning curve, but you'll get used to it after a while, and then you'll be able to fully operate your Kylo Ren lightsaber with no problems. So there's your operation instructions. Then we pull the foam out of the way, and here we have your lightsaber. So you got this one from SP Sabers. It's been painted by them. It looks great. We already reached out to them about the lower engine. Hopefully they can get you one soon. On the left side here, we have our Nightcore portable USB charger. This charges your 21700 lithium-ion battery. I only recommend this charger and the battery that I provide. If you want to get more chargers or more batteries, let me know. I'll provide you links. But you do have a 21700 lithium-ion battery, 5000 milliamp runtime. So this is a big boy battery. This is about as big as they get in lightsabers. So you have lots of runtime here, plenty of power to be, power your all 3 of your NeoPixel blades. So you get that. It's Keep Power brand. We'll set that aside for now. It'll be on the right side there. Charger on the left. Anyway, you also get your side blades. These are my custom side blades. They are printed from a material called TPU. It's a plastic/rubber kind of material, so it's very durable. It's got a little bit of a squishy feel to it, so you don't have to worry about these cracking or breaking or shattering. They're pretty durable. You got NeoPixel strips on the inside, and they illuminate really well. So I'll go over these when we get to the blade portion where I show you how to put in your blades. Also here on the right side, you have a sticker that came in the box from SP Sabers. I'll just leave that in there. You also have your plaque, which had fallen out of the plastic and was kind of just bouncing around inside of the box. So to make sure that doesn't happen again, so we don't get any scratches on our lightsaber, I wrapped it back up in the plastic and then used some masking tape to secure it. So that'll be in there as well. Got a little Ziploc baggie here. Inside the Ziploc baggie, you have 2 Allen wrenches. The smaller one is for your blade retention screws, and the bigger one is for the button head screws that are used to assemble and disassemble the hilt, okay? As far as your blade retention screws go, I have upgraded the main blade retention screw up a size. It was M2 and I upgraded it to M3. So now the main blade and the side blades all have M3 size screws to help hold your main blade and your side blades in. The M2 one for the main blade was super small and just didn't do a very good job with blade retention. So moving on, you'll notice here you have your blade plugs inside of the emitters. I will ship it to you like that just to keep everything compact, secure, and in place. Your blade plugs are metal, so originally you would not have been able to use them with a NeoPixel lightsaber because the NeoPixel blade connectors, if they came into contact with the metal blade plugs, they would have shorted and, fried your electronics. But I have 3D printed little covers, plastic covers, to go on the bottom of them. So they are completely safe to use now. You can use them for, display purposes. So inside of your emitters, we have 3 stock Custom Works version 3 NPXL connectors. Each of these have 16 LEDs that illuminate beautifully when the blades are removed and the saber is ignited. So you'll see those here in a bit once we fire it up. You'll see it once we disassemble the hilt, but your blue wire has all been glued in place so that it's permanent and won't move now. The upper portion of the red wire where it goes inside of the hilt here has all been glued in place. It's permanent and won't move. It just simply untucks from the clip there for whenever we get ready to disassemble. And when you reassemble, you just tuck it back in place for a nice clean look. And surprisingly, it does a great job of staying in place. As far as the bottom goes, the hole where the red wire goes, here I enlarged, made it a bit bigger so that the red wire actually fit. And when I tucked it in, I used a little E6000 on the bottom of it, which kind of glues it in place and holds it there. That way it won't ever come out. All right, so as far as what we're talking, let's see, what are we doing next? Next we are, I'm sorry, I was going through my mind what all there is to talk about. Next we're gonna go over how to disassemble or open up the lightsaber so that we can put a battery in so that we can get going and bring it to life. Step number 1 is to remove your main power button, which is here. There is a magnet on the bottom side of it, so the only way to disassemble this and take it out is to pull it straight up. So get you a pair of plastic tweezers or ceramic tweezers or something non-metal, preferably so you don't scratch it, You can get these on Amazon. They're really cheap, maybe $5. Just grab inside the grooves like you see here. Just get a good grip on it and just pull it straight up. And you'll see the magnets on the bottom. So you can set that aside. Step 2, remove the red wire like I just showed you. Step 3, we're going to remove all 3 of your button head screws on the outside. Now these used to be M3 and I have upgraded them to the size M4 because I also threaded the holes in the handle so that the handle and the upper portion of the hilt is all threaded together now, which really brings this together well. It eliminates all rattle, all wobble. It is on lock. So let's remove all 3 of these now. It doesn't matter what order when you are removing them, but when we reassemble the hilt, I do want you to put the screws back in a certain order, just to help your auxiliary switch function more optimally. So we're gonna fully remove these, take them out. Once you get to that last one, be ready to handle the lightsaber upside down. I'll show you what I mean here. I'm gonna use my one hand to hold it by the emitters, kind of hold it upside down, just to keep everything from falling out. So I'm gonna hold the emitters, I'm gonna kind of hold it upside down, and then I'm just gonna grab the handle, which is just a sleeve really, and just slide it up and off, okay? Now you may notice inside of the handle, this may fall out. It is a 3D printed circular piece. This is your resonance chamber. It's pretty dense at 100% infill. It kind of sits over the speaker, helps to concentrate the sound and push it out the bottom a little more. It improves the sound quality, the depth, the clarity, everything. Just overall, the speaker sounds way better with this little piece. It's kind of amazing how big of a difference it makes. So that's your resonance chamber. It simply just, I'm gonna set this down. It simply just drops down in and out of your hilt, of your handle. So I'm gonna set this aside. Next up, we can remove this portion here, which is also just a shell, just slowly, carefully. We're gonna lift it up and over and slide it off. I'm gonna be careful as I go over this Profi board. I don't wanna touch any of those connections there because this is metal and I don't wanna cause any shorts where I would possibly fry electronics. But as an added layer of protection, I add liquid tape onto the, the points there where I've soldered, just to kind of, prevent anything from touching and shorting. Trust me, it can happen. I've seen it done. So I'm gonna set this down. Like I said, this is the shell portion here. The red wire there and the clip is all glued in place on the inside of the clip and on the inside of the hilt there using E6000 and then super glue here. So that's permanent, doesn't move, just, you know, helps add to the nice clean look. So here's your blue wire. I put heat shrink on the top and bottom of it just to keep the two wires together. Then I've also used E6000 on the bottom and top to help hold those in place so those are permanent, they won't move. Here we have your power switch, which has the magnet on top. It's glued in place using E6000, so make sure you don't, you know, rip that off. It should stay on there quite easily. And then here's your auxiliary switch, which was a bit longer, and I've sanded it down to get just the right height so that it functions well. Here's your 3D printed chassis. One thing to note about the 3D printed chassis, this is plastic. It's printed with my 3D printer. Because it's plastic, it is susceptible to cracking and breaking, okay? Now I'm not saying it's super delicate, but just to make sure you don't harm it or damage it or break it in any way, just always handle the lightsaber when it's disassembled by the metal portion of the lightsaber, okay? You don't want to hold it by the chassis like so or put any pressure on it or handle it rough in this manner like this because, you know, where it goes inside of the hilt here, the screws hold it in place up inside of there. This area is where it is susceptible to breaking and kind of snapping off inside of there. So be mindful of that. Always handle it by the metal part of the lightsaber, and then you'll be just fine. So this is black PLA printed hatchbox PLA. We got the light panel designed down the side that we see on the Imperial starships. Got the First Order logo right there, you know, kind of symbolizing Kylo Ren in the First Order. This is actually a wire cover which can just lift up and out. Okay, it's also 3D printed. What it does is it covers up the wires, just kind of helps everything look a little bit cleaner. But you do need to remove it out of the way if you want to access the Profi board so that you can update sound fonts and blade styles and things like that. You simply plug into the USB port with a micro USB cable. Just make sure you're going in and out directly, and you never want to lift up because you could possibly rip off that port. I've seen it done, so you got to be careful with that. I also don't recommend removing the SD card. You can see it, but don't remove it. You can simply access the contents of the SD card by plugging into the micro USB port. Just be patient, give your computer a few minutes, and the contents will pop up. And then to put this cover back, you simply just press it down inside of the space there in the chassis like you see here. You want it sitting nice and flush and pretty. On the bottom end here, we have the 28mm speaker from the Saber Merchant. This is the 2-watt 8 ohm. I've kind of gotten away from using the 4-watt speakers. I feel like the Profi board just pushes them way too hard. I feel like the 4 ohm speakers blow on me a lot. I got really tired of changing them. It would break chassis trying to get them out. So I pretty much switched to the 8 ohm speakers. They're not as loud, but they still are pretty loud. They still sound really great, and there's almost no distortion or clipping or anything like that. So they sound really good, especially with that resonance chamber. They sound amazing. Kind of adds to the bass a little bit. So yeah, like this is the 28mm silver speaker from the Saber Merchant. And then here on the bottom end, we have the battery compartment. So I like the battery to come in and out really easily. So I like to use the spring tab setup, okay? Now, keep this in mind. You do not want to put your battery in backwards. If you do, you can possibly damage your electronics. So look at the label on your battery, read the positive and negative spots there. You'll notice the negative is the flat side, okay? The negative always goes against the spring side, just like a AA battery in a remote, a TV remote, or a beard trimmer or whatever. So flat side goes against the spring. Now when I do this, notice I'm just handling it by the metal portion of the lightsaber. And when I put this battery in, I'm not gonna force against the chassis because I don't wanna break it off. All I'm going to do is push it down against the spring. So I put that negative side in, use my finger, and I just push it down against the spring. That's it. And then I push the positive end in. It's super simple to get out too. Again, just push force down against that spring and pull the positive end out. And it comes in and out super easy. Do it multiple times just to kind of show you. I've really worked a long time on battery compartments to try to dial them in over the years and get them just right, and I swear I got it perfect. Anyway, when you put the battery in, obviously you get a boot sound, okay? The boot sound is just booting up, telling you, hey, I'm awake, I have power now, the lightsaber is now on and ready to go. So also keep in mind though that now this board and the pins in here all have power and current running through them, so nothing metal touching any of that. We don't want any shorts. So it is on now. We can show you the NPXL connectors. Beautiful. So you'll notice me kind of playing and demoing the lightsaber with it unassembled. I'm just doing that for this video, but I do not recommend ever playing with the lightsaber while it's disassembled. You risk the chance of breaking the chassis or damaging something. So as soon as you get a battery in, if you want to show it off, that's cool, be delicate, but then you want to reassemble it. So that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to start with this portion again, right? We're just going to go slow and careful. We're going to slide it up and over the chassis. Careful not to touch the Profi board. We're being gentle, kind of holding it upside down by those emitters. And then it just kind of sits in place. Next, we're going to slide the handle portion on, right? We want to line up this gap right here, right, in the handle with the auxiliary button, which is right here, okay? And then we just want to slide that up. Then as you can see here, this shell portion kind of moves. You just want to line that up with the holes, and then you're just going to get your screws, and you're just going to use your fingers and kind of just get the threading started. You're not going to tighten them down all the way yet. So just get them in there, get them started, okay? Now, once you get the threading started, I want you to kind of roll it over, and the side where the auxiliary switch is right here, that's the side I want you to screw down first, just to make sure we, get that portion close to that auxiliary switch so that it functions well. Tighten these down pretty tight, but don't go so far as to strip them, okay? So tighten that one down first. You can click it.
Show me again the power of the darkness.
Just to test the button, make sure it functions well. Once you've done that one, flip it over, do the one on the opposite side, and then you can finish up by doing the one in the middle. Once you get all three tight, again, you can just kind of roll it over, test it.
I know what I have to do.
Just making sure that that auxiliary button is good to go. Once you get all three screws tight, you can take your red wire, you're just going to tuck it back in that clip like we discussed earlier. Then you're going to roll it over, take your main power switch, which has the magnet in the bottom, and then simply just drop it down into the hole, and then you're ready to rock. I didn't mean to do all that. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the portion now with the blades. I'm going to show you how to put the blades in, so I'm going to turn the camera and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so I got the lightsaber right here. I got my main blade, side blades. You're going to need your smaller Allen wrench. Let's talk about the main blade first. It's going to come in your plastic like this. 36-inch long, a little more screen accurate. Kylo Ren's a pretty tall guy, so we got a 36-inch long blade. You have an unstable base sleeve. Okay, this is like a TPU printed, squishy, very durable rubber-like material. It just slides on and off the blade, and it helps match those side blades and gives you kind of an unstable effect on the base of your main blade, a little bit of a flare. So it just slides on there. This is a polycarbonate, lightweight blade. I do not recommend dueling with this, just for show. So whenever you insert your blade, this is the important part. Whenever you insert your blades, you never want to twist the blade. You only ever want to push straight in and straight out, because your NPXL connectors have little pins on them that are spring loaded, and the blade kind of pushes against them, right? But if you were to twist, you could possibly bend and damage those pins. We don't want to do that. So we're just going to hold it against ourselves. We're just going to insert straight in all the way down, right? Make sure the set screw is out so that you can get the blade in. Hold on. It's really snug. Alright, so you want to tighten down the set screws on the blades. You don't want to strip them, but you do want it to be tight so that you maintain a good connection and you don't want your blade coming loose. Once you get it inside, you're going to take your sleeve and just slide it down against the base. Okay, so now that's how the main blade looks. And I like to do the main blade first because then I can stand the saber upside down like you see here, and I can put in my side blades. So again, no twisting, just press against those pins. Use your Allen wrench, tighten on the set screw. You don't want to strip anything, you just want it tight to hold the blade in place to maintain a good connection. So we got the blades in now. This is what it looks like. Okay. I'm going to kill this light. I'm going to close this door, try to make it kind of dark in here. It is the middle of the day. Here we go. Smooth swing, right? Gesture controls, you can twist off and thrust on. You can thrust on. Twist off is kind of a back and forth, like revving up a motorcycle. Thrusting, just hold it still for a second and then give it a nice forward thrust. Okay, something else you might have noticed. With the new Profi operating system, you can have your saber pointing up. All three blades will come on at once. Okay? And then some of the fonts, if you're 90 degrees or lower, you can get the staggered ignition. So you have that as well. Some of the fonts have that, some of them don't.
I killed Snoke. I'll kill you. And I will let nothing stand in our way.
Flashing. Lock up.
She's just beginning to test her powers. You still want to kill me?
There we go.
Red, orange, red, dark orange, orange, gold, yellow, green, yellow. Red.
So there's your little demo of the saber in operation. Just wanted to show you that it works, show you some of its features. I'm not going to fully go over all that with you. You can do that on your own once you get the instructions, but it is complete, it is done. I will be boxing this up to ship out to you tomorrow. I will begin uploading this video now for your review. Anyways, thanks for choosing Powell's Power Ups to do your lightsaber. I hope you enjoy it, and may the Force be with you.